Absolutely right. I want to also point out that we did ask Mr. Bartold, the Chief of Staff for the Joint Committee on Taxation, about this tax and what its ramifications are. And I asked him, will this fall unevenly, as we've seen across the Northeast and as we've seen across the West Coast? The response was, it is not possible to say that in all cases, meaning all 50 states, that these taxpayers will have lower total income tax liability under H.R. 1 than under the present law. And why? Because they're not going to be allowed to take the deductions they normally get. In the state of Connecticut, 41% of our citizens utilize and itemize their deductions under the code that they've been able to do since 1913 and its inception. And why is this important? Well, we've heard Mr. Brady say after everyone gets up and speaks, he talks about what's going on in their district in an overgeneralized manner. So I asked Joint Tax, what would it be for a couple in West Hartford with a child in college? They own a home and have a combined income of $125,000. Under the Republican plan, they would see a $767 tax increase in 2018, and they would see more than a $1,667 tax increase in 2023 when the family credit expires. A point Mr. Neal has made repeatedly. Tax cuts are made permanent for corporations and the wealthy. The wealthy get the alternative minimum tax and they get the estate tax, and they're made permanent. For those of you who may think you're even going to get a tax cut, the Norquist clawback provision under something we refer to as change CPI takes it away after the 5th year. And so we find ourselves in this god-awful position without public hearings and without the ability to call expert witnesses and to only have a back and forth between Democrats and Republicans. You need a political win. That's probably true. But who really needs to win here are the American people. And the American people expect more of us. And that's why this is a lost possibility and why we ought to be regrouping and taking this back up, because as Mr. Kine says, there still is time. How can you turn your backs on your fellow Republicans in New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania? How can you do this to these people without any kind of public hearing or public witnesses or experts to talk about what the calamity will be? How about their commissioners of revenue services coming in and going over and examining just how these taxes will impact on them? That's not going to happen, unfortunately. This is being jammed down our throats. And I yield back to the gentleman from Mass.